thanks for joining me. On the internet, you'll find a lot of almost miraculous cures for using jewelweed as a natural preventative treatment or even cure for poison ivy rash. So I thought it would be fun to make a jewelweed soap. We could learn how to do it together. My husband sometimes gets poison ivy rash and is pretty miserable, so I thought maybe this would help him. However, I did some research into this and I'm not sure how effective something like that is. I'd like to share with you what I found. Also share how to identify poison ivy, how to identify the jewelweed plant, and when and where to use jewelweed. Where has it been found to be the most effective? Recognize the plant right here? Yep, it's poison ivy. If you are allergic to it, it can make your life hell. At least 50% of the people who come in contact with this plant develop the very itchy rash and sometimes blisters. Unfortunately, you can develop an allergy to it at any time. Thus, just because you weren't allergic last time you tramped through a poison ivy infested area doesn't mean you'll be so lucky next time. Poison ivy has 3 pointed leaves that change color with the seasons. Reddish in the spring, green in the summer, and yellow, orange, or red in the fall. The leaves on some plants have notched edges, while on other plants the leaves are smooth. Poison ivy can grow as either a vine or a bush. Here I often see the vines climbing up on the sides of trees. Okay, if you follow this vine, you get it right to here. And here's the vine just emerging with a pinkish red tinge to it. This poisonivy.org site shows you how to ID poison ivy in the different seasons. This is spring. This is summer, and you can see it looks quite a bit different. And this is fall. This webpage shows what poison ivy looks like in its worst stages. As you can see, there's the red streaking, the bumps, and the blisters. These weepy blisters are miserable. They're usually worse 4 to 7 days after breakout, and the breakout can last 2 to 3 weeks. The plant on the right side of the screen is called jewelweed. Folk medicine uses this plant in the treatment of poison ivy. It's a beautiful annual plant that often grows near water. In this case, you can see it's growing right by the creek in my backyard. It got its name because dew or raindrops will beat up on its leaves and cause sparkling diamonds. The plant is easily identifiable by its yellowish-orange flowers. Poison ivy contains an oily antigen called urushiol that attaches itself to the skin within 15 minutes of contact. Time is of the essence here. If you have water available, do not spend your time looking for a nearby jewelweed plant. The first thing you should do if you believe you have been exposed to poison ivy is repeatedly wash the affected area. If you are near a faucet, wash the exposed area with water, lots of it, or other dishwashing detergent. Dawn is a good soap to use. If you're hiking and there's a stream nearby, you can use the stream water for that purpose. You want to remove the plant irritants as quickly as possible, and water and soap is the most efficient way of getting rid of that nasty, nasty oil. And you want to get your nail area too. Only if soap and water isn't present, turn first to the jewelweed plant. You simply have to rub the plant on your affected area, or where you think you touched the poison ivy. Unfortunately, there isn't as much juice this time of the year because it dries out a bit once it flowers. So it's really better to mash it up. Some people also mash up the entire plant and rub it like that. This time of the year, that probably gives you more protection. So you can use the jewelweed as a second line of defense after you've thoroughly washed with water and soap the area that became exposed to the poison ivy. Or you can rub it on beforehand when you're going to a patch that you're afraid has poison ivy to any exposed skin, and it will help prevent getting poison ivy. Jewelweed can be found May through October through much of the United States. Here is a map showing where it grows. So the green area is where it grows. So it's mainly just some of the western states and Alaska that you cannot find jewelweed. However, further research has been done which does not concur with this study. In 1980, two researchers tested the idea that perhaps it was not the jewelweed extract, but the water in which it was mixed that actually worked to fight the poison ivy. They used a quantitative patch test on themselves and treating 2 exposed areas to water, 2 to jewelweed and 2 with nothing. They determined that jewelweed does nothing to prevent the rash and that the plain water may be slightly beneficial. That was Guyon and Reynolds' study in 1980. Further supporting these findings, a group of researchers performed a randomized, double-blinded, paired comparison investigation of 10 volunteers. The volunteers were exposed to urushiol, the active agent in poison ivy, then treated with stem extract from jewelweed on one site and water on the other. I don't think I'd want to be one of those volunteers. The results of this study showed no difference in the resulting poison ivy rash, thus concluding that jewelweed was an ineffective treatment, and that was the Long et al. 1997 study. I found a recent study that was just performed in 2012. Researchers brushed poison ivy onto the forearm of volunteers in 6 locations, and then those exposed areas were treated with jewelweed extracts, fresh jewelweed plant mashes, soaps made of the plant extracts, and water and Dawn dish soap. The ultimate winner was the water and the Dawn dish soap. The soaps made with jewelweed extracts didn't perform any better than regular soap. The jewelweed extracts themselves had no effect whatsoever. The fresh plant mashes were somewhat effective, however. Here are my conclusions on using jewelweed. I believe it is most effective, or has been shown most effective, for preventative uses and for treatment if no water is available, or as a secondary line of defense after using water and soap. However, it just doesn't look like it's that effective for using the jewelweed extract soaps and balms and salves and tinctures and all of that. It looks like it maybe will give you a little temporary relief, but so will a lot of other home remedies. If you found something different, I would love to know how you made your potion, whatever you're using, and what your results were. Now please remember, results can be different on different individuals, and everybody has a different allergic reaction to poison ivy, and rashes can be almost non-existent to terrible, terrible blister-ridden gross masses. So you might ask yourself, what do you do if you've already developed poison ivy, the rash itself? If the rash is over a lot of area of your body, a lot of blisters, or in your genital area or near your eyes, you want to seek medical treatment. Your physician may give you a shot and or oral cortisone, such as prednisone, which will help alleviate some of the symptoms and make it a little bit more bearable. Generally, poison ivy is worse 8 to 10 days after the rash starts, and then it starts getting better, but it can last 2 to 3 weeks. There are home remedies that can help, and that is putting a cold compress on the area, maybe rubbing a ice cube over the area or ice pack, taking a bath in oatmeal, using a paste of 3 parts baking soda to 1 part water, a lot of different things. I myself like using some lavender oil, which reduces the swelling and maybe the itching just a little. Other people like using tea tree oil. And of course there's always the over-counter anti-itch poison ivy medicine and the old standby calamine lotion. before I close, I would like to tell you one more amazing thing about the jewelweed plant. It's really cool. It's also called the Touch Me Not plant, which is kind of odd considering it's not a poisonous plant. The reason is when its seed pods are ripe, if you go up to them and just barely touch them, they explode, just like they have an internal spring. It's really cool. So I've got a link down here to the URL for another YouTube video that will show you that, and I think you'll enjoy it. So I hope you learned something today. Thank you. And this is Pepper Potpourri signing out, saying please subscribe and share the knowledge.